was raised in a rural area with a black and white television and 3 channels, and we didn't really watch much television except the news. And without trying to put a time stamp on me, this is going to go back to a very early memory of a very young child watching the events unfold in Dallas, Texas on the day that John Kennedy was assassinated. It was an indelible memory, and it, for me, all played out on television. All of that video, all of that, at that time, film that was coming out of Dallas and being replayed to the president, being flown back on Air Force One late that night, all of that, I think, is probably the thing that may have spurred both my interest in journalism and in politics. But remember, political reporters and those jobs are really not all that plentiful. If you think at the national level, if you think at the network level, everybody's got somebody who covers politics. But in local television, to have the ability to focus only on politics is a really rare thing, and a great advantage that I have here, because that's my total focus. And we spend a lot of time on it, a lot of effort on it. And Michigan is in play. It is an important state and has been for a lot of years, but in the last 2 election cycles, that's really come to the forefront. And the idea that one party or the other has a corner on good ideas is something that I discarded years ago. Because this isn't just about political parties or about politics. Ultimately, it's about governance. And so it's important that people are able to make the choice about governance regardless of their political philosophy. So while you cover the politics of it, you try to get to the meaning of it. What will you do? How will you act? What would you support? I never assume that a voter is decided or undecided. I don't try to pretend that I know what a voter or a viewer is thinking. What I hope they take away is whatever the candidate, whatever the subject that I'm talking about, what they're saying. And I also hope that they take away a better understanding of the process or the election cycle or what's happening in Lansing or the impact it might have. Because at the end of the day, the only purpose in doing this is to keep people informed, and you want them to be informed with the best, clearest message you can. And so I think it's really important not for me to worry about parties, not even worry about people, but to be able to present what those candidates say they will do. I left the business briefly in 2001 after the 2000 presidential election because it was clear to me I would never see anything that was more unusual than waiting until December 13th to find out who the President of the United States was. That I would never see people hand counting ballots in a couple of counties in Florida to decide who the next President of the United States was. So I was convinced I should move on and do something else because this was going to be as crazy as it ever got. I was wrong. I think becoming a dad changed everything. What my boys recognize more is the business. I don't know that they focus so much on politics, but they're very interested in all of the stuff that we're doing here today. They would love this. They really like photography, and they spend a lot of time making their own little movies, and so they really like that end of it. Particularly when my oldest comes in, he's much more interested in the technology, but they are aware, and they do know that there's an election going on, and they do know that there is a lot of noise surrounding that election. You just couldn't exist in this environment and not know. But I also try to take off my reporter's jacket at the door and go home, because you can't focus on that 24/7. That'd cause you to have gray hair.